You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another live broadcast. We certainly appreciate you guys being on the Chris Voss Show podcast. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Remember, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law does, or probably your wife for that matter. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing show today. We have some returning guests from a future upcoming movie that's currently being plotted and using technology like NFTs and other things to be successful and market itself, and of course raise funds. We're going to be talking with the cast and crew of Loaded Deck today, and iShook, one of the technologies that's behind it and everything else that goes into it. We also have one of the stars of the upcoming movie, Daniel Baldwin, on the show. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's an American actor with probably, I didn't get a chance to count all of his movies on IMDb, but probably hundreds of different movies. And of course, he's part of the famous Baldwin brothers clan. We've all seen them and known them and laughed and just engaged with them in movies and acting and careers and all the stuff that they do. So we'll get into that. Welcome to the show, everyone. We've got Daniel Baldwin on the show, Jared Vineyard, and Benny from iShook. How is everyone today?
Doing well.
All right.
There you go. All right, everyone, just kind of calm down a little bit for me, okay? Just hold back a little bit. I know you're excited to be here, but welcome, everyone. It's Tuesday morning, or at least it is in my world. So let's go around the circle.
You come to my house, you have breakfast. I'm up at 4. I'm in the gym at 4:30. I come home. I make my children their smoothies. I make their lunches. I drive them both to school. And then I'm a husband and a father, and occasionally I make a movie. I have no sites for you to come to. I have no .coms. I don't have any of that. I have an Instagram thing called The Daniel Baldwin. You can message me there. I want to put an end to a terrifying, vicious rumor. Have you ever really actually live seen more than one of the Baldwin brothers in the same room? See, I think it's the same guy. He just gets fatter. He gets skinnier. He changes his hair color. I think it's all the same guy. I think this is a ruse. I don't think there's really an Alec or a Billy or a Steven. There's only me. There's my pitch.
I've heard this rumor before. I've heard this is a rumor. You never see all the Baldwins in the same room at the same time.
That's right.
So, but it's good to know that you are the center of that universe, Daniel.
In my mind, yes.
What do your brothers feel about that?
It's funny. We're the sons of a school teacher, my dad and my mom, a housewife who taught for a little while. So I think the more interesting and breaking the odds thing about the four of us is that 1 in 2,500 actors in Los Angeles County is able to make a living off their acting without having to subsidize their income with some other profession, waiting on tables, bartending, whatever it may be. So if you look at any actor that's been fortunate enough to make a living acting without having to do something else, the odds are pretty disparaging against you. Yeah. When you add to the fact that there's 4 siblings that are able to break those odds, I think that makes it even more interesting and longer odds. But the most important factor behind that is my last name isn't Sheen. My last name isn't Carradine or Barrymore or Cusack or, where you had generational people before you that opened the door for you. Alec and I were picking our nose and we were, driving around New York City, and he went out to LA, and, we both kind of went out there. He definitely made it first. He's older than I am. As my other 2 brothers, kind of got involved in the fray, all of us pretty close to the same time, but Alex started the ball rolling. I think that's the odd thing, is that our last name, our parents or an uncle or a cousin wasn't involved in the business first, which would have made it a lot easier. But no, it wasn't that way. We had to kind of pound the beat, and, the 4 Irish thug Baldwin brothers trying to make it as actors. So, but I can remember coming off the football field in high school and my friends saying, hey, we're going to go have a beer. Do you want to come? And I said, no, I have rehearsal. I'm in a play right now. And they'd say, what, are you going to be an actress, Baldy? Come on, huh? You ain't going to make it. What are you talking about? What are you, Marlon Brando, Baldwin? Well, I'd hate to say that going to the 10-year reunion wasn't fun because I got to see a lot of those guys.
Wow.
It's been an interesting ride. It's been a really interesting ride. A lot of fun.
So basically, the four Baldwin brothers are cornering the market in Hollywood and stealing all the good jobs. Then is that what's going on? It sounds like.
25 years ago, that might have been the fact. We're getting a little long in the tooth now. I'm 62 years old. When I was in that conversation, which was briefly, but Alex certainly has had a much bigger movie career than any Billy, Steven, or I, and even he. He's 63.
Wow.
He's coming up on 64. No, he's 60. He's 65. Anyway, if he'd stop it, I think he's got enough kids now. He's got his hands full. The guy he keeps knocking kids out. I mean, it's crazy. Him and his beautiful wife, Ilaria, they're kid after kid after kid. I mean, he hasn't slowed down in that department. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, he still hasn't catching up to that one guy who's married to that famous singer. I forget his name, but he's propagating pretty well. He's got a lot of kids. He's got like franchises setting up everywhere. So there you go. Well, Daniel, it's good.
Nothing like a good sperm count, I always say.
There you go. Hey, he's still got it, man. Good for him, right? I remember, God, who is the actor who's in The Odd Couple? I think he had a kid at 76 or something.
Is that
like,
Matthau or?
No, the second version of The Odd Couple, I guess, in the 70s.
Tony Randall?
Tony Randall. Yeah, he had a kid at 76. And I was like, good for him. God damn.
Now was his wife 74? Because
no. I think she was in her 30s.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That was the other reason I said good for him. So there's that. So it's wonderful to have you on the show, Daniel. Let's go around the room. The other .com so we can get the plugs in there. Benny?
Jared, go ahead.
All right. Well, keep on promoting the Loaded Deck one. So loadeddecmovie.com. Go check that out. And that put some updates on there with the movie and the comic book as well. That is under this IP and stuff that we're putting together. So the first one is out, available, that you can go find on Amazon. The printed ones, I don't know, Benny will talk about when the printed versions and stuff will come out. And then starting to work on the next one, which will have Daniel's character and stuff in it. But yeah, keep on.
There you go.
What do you got, Benny?
And Benny, give us that final plug.
Yeah, final plug is going to be megamoviesnft.com, which is going to come out at the end of this month of February. It's going to be the point of place where people can get their movies funded in the crypto industry. We have over maybe 100 million users in that industry, plenty of funding available. And why fund in a trading platform when you can actually fund in products that actually work? There's no better product than the film industry. It's entertainment. Everybody wants entertainment. And that's where we're coming out to for the future. And then we have the comic book, which is available on Kindle. That's our first issue. We're going to be hitting a lot more issues with a lot more likenesses of all the players of the movie. And we believe that every movie should have some sort of following. And graphic comics and comics themselves are a huge thing right now. And if you look at Netflix, almost every other show is a graphic novel into an anime. And that's the biggest thing here, that you can have our ideas that you can have your likeness as an actor in a comic and then eventually an anime, and you're still making the same monies, hopefully. So that's the plug that we got here in iShook.
There you go. So loadeddecmovie.com. We talked with Kevin Sorbo a couple months ago about the show. Daniel's in it as well. Let's talk about what type of movie is this? What's working and what's everyone doing that's involved?
Yeah, so it's a crime movie. It's a little amalgam sort of thing, an action comedy where you're basically taking a character who belongs in a romantic comedy, something real sweet and stuff, should be going and falling in love with the girl. Instead, he's thrown into like a Tarantino kind of movie. So it's a fun film. Daniel's the kind of the big bad that's looming over the whole movie, the crime boss of the of the thing that everybody's terrified of, and putting together a crew to basically try to figure out a way to take down. So
there you go. Daniel, what drew you to the movie?
Well, one of the things that I like when you play a character, this is exactly what Benny was talking about earlier. The future, and not that this has never been done, but it should be done on most movies, and that is you should turn your characters into comic characters too. You should turn them into a comic strip. You should turn it into an animated film. So I have a chance to play Big Deal, who's when you mention his name, people quake in his path. They're really worried about when this guy shows up, bodies start getting counted. He has that capability, not just himself. He's way past that. He's the guy that points a finger and that person just disappears. And all of, if you want to go to a Superman syndrome, all of Metropolis knows it. He's that big. They quake in his path. So the idea to play a guy that's that kind of power, I'll remember a very famous actor, Chris Walken, was working with another guy at, I think it was at the Actors Studios like 30 years ago. And he said to him, the line for the kid was, have the money at 3 o'clock or else you're dead. And so we get to that part in the scene, and he says, "You have the fucking money at 3, or you're fucking dead. You're dead." And he's screaming at him. So we get done, doing the scene, and Walken looks at him and says, "What are you so afraid of?" To the guy that had the power, that was going to kill, to the guy who was Big Deal. And he said, "Let's switch roles for a minute." And we kind of all looked at each other, and he went, "He's going to take his role and read him right now." I was like, wow. And when we got to that part, Walken went off on this thing about, Tommy, I knew your father. He was my friend. He's the one who got me in the business. And he leans down and he starts picking the lint off his pea coat. And he says, "Don't make me do this, Tommy. If you don't have the money at 3 o'clock, you know what's going to happen." And we finished the scene. And he looked at him and he said, "That guy is going to kill you at 3:01 p.m. Because it doesn't bother him. He doesn't have to. And if you shoot that with the camera really close, and he looks at you and goes, "Or else 3 o'clock, Tommy, please don't make me do that." That guy's so much more frightening than the guy that's screaming. What are you screaming about? You're dead. I want to play that guy. I want to play Big Deal that just looks at you, looks at his friend, and goes, "Didn't have the money. He's gone. Next."
Yeah.
And there's a twist. There's a twist to motivation and stuff that you don't know, that I don't know if these men want to announce or talk about it. I'm not going to. But there may be an unknown surprise reason for a lot of this that Big Deal does. But sorry, you're going to have to buy a ticket to get that.
There you go. So you're the boss, basically, the bad guy who's.
I'm the Teflon Don, baby. I'm
Teflon
John Gotti.
Don. There you
Teflon Don.
There's what I'm trying to think of the quote, but there's like a danger is implied, or basically, you look at people like Putin. Putin doesn't have to walk around being a bully. He can just he kind of comes across as someone you wouldn't even and the original Godfathers and stuff that ran the mob.
I think he was KGB says it all.
Yeah, they didn't walk around New York City, bowling people over. They just were these quiet types, and and then if you pissed them off, you end up in the trunk of a car. Then good.
Well, the real scary guys don't ever actually get their hands dirty anymore.
Yeah.
But if they work their way up through those ranks, chances are their hands were extremely, extremely dirty to get to those positions in certain organized crimes.
Yeah. I'm one of those people who can make stuff disappear without throwing a fit or anything, but it's mostly cheesecake that disappears. So there's that. So you guys, one of the things you guys are doing is you're trying to raise money through technology and some of the new technology that's out there, I believe NFT and some other things. Who wants to talk about that? I'll just throw it out to anyone.
Yeah, Yeah. So the NFT world is becoming very, very popular, but there is a fluctuation in value. So a lot of NFTs that have been bought as art. I mean, art is a very difficult thing to sell as NFT. I mean, the market has shown it. People put $300,000 on an art that you barely can sell for $1. Who wants this virtual art? There's no tangibility, which is funny, Chris. When we mentioned in the last podcast about tangibility with NFTs, now there's actually NFTs that are announcing tangibilities. It's interesting how we're trend setting. Our discussions are being, listened to other people's, and tangibility is so important. We're going to be taking even further of tangibility. Our idea is not just tangibility. It's let's get the NFTs to actually have real time market value. So a movie is a real time market value, and to have individuals invest on a movie is so much more than that debacle. What happened with SBF and FTX, where that person was utilizing the funds of people for improper uses. I mean, he was just buying and investing all over the world and bought, I'm not going to say what politicians he bought, but he bought a lot of politicians. Where you had,
bought everything.
He had
arenas.
Yeah, like arenas. He bought, like, this guy went crazy.
But Tom Brady.
Oh, don't. And then you have Bill, for what's his name, Mr. Wonderful. Yeah. So our idea is, let's establish where people can actually invest in a product. There's no greater content, and the ultimate content, the biggest content you're ever going to produce is a movie, right? So why not create a real movie? I mean, I know there were a few announcements in the crypto world about NFTs in a movie, but I think this is probably going to be the first real movie on an NFT. I mean, awesome. Basically the movie will be the NFT. And and that's where we're going to be able to get a lot of production. And who knows, this movie can get funded maybe 50 to 100% to 200% more than expected. And I think it's possible, very possible, because if you show the crypto industry and the traders and say, listen, why trade when you're going to get X amount, and you can put an NFT here and you get much more return? That's you can't get better than that. And the crypto world is something that you have a reach. Really, you're not going to investors. How many VCs, how many investors can you really go to for a movie? I mean, honestly, how many production companies can you really go to? Here, you have a global reach. You can have a guy sitting in his computer trading $100,000, $200,000 a day, and he can say, "Listen, Benny, here's 20K, here's 30K. I want to be part of this NFT movie." And there's value in the movie, because the movie globally. How can a movie not make its profits globally? I mean, every movie makes it. You got to be a really messed up movie to go negative. And by the way, you know which movies are going negative? All those big $100 million, $200 million movies, they have a more risk of getting negative sales than positive sales. But when you have a good budget film, all you have is to go up. You have nothing to lose at the end of the game. That's my point of view, and that's why we're doing NFTs and the way we're doing it.
I think it's pretty brilliant. I mean, I know Hollywood movies, there's a lot of great probably plots and stories that never get told because they just can't get the funding. And so when you live in LA or Hollywood, people are just constantly, I remember going to parties in Hollywood, and, everyone's got a script. I was like the only guy who didn't have a script, and I'd like make up scripts, and I'd be like, well, we're talking right now with I just make up like actors, and people would just be like, what the fuck kind of movie is going on over there? And I just make up some plot that was just absurd. But no, it's hard to get funding for these things. So it's interesting. You guys are exploring this new concept of putting the movie together, all the actors, the production, and then going out and trying to get it funded through NFTs and technologies and comic books too as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm sorry.
That's really cool. I just last year, I don't know if you saw or what your relationship is in El Salvador, because that's the Bitcoin place you really want.
Yeah.
Their currency rolled over from the US dollar now to Bitcoin. And I was contacted by President Bukele to come down and help write new legislation for filmmaking in El Salvador. They'd like to make it a stop for filmmakers to have an option in Central America. So we should talk when we're done with the show, because I have some relationships down there that you would want to know at the place that they're speaking your language.
Wow.
Where are you guys going to film this movie? That's a good question. Is there space?
Yeah, most likely we're looking at kind of Atlanta, Savannah, like that kind of area in Georgia, take advantage of the tax credits and stuff that they have going on over there.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to beat Atlanta.
Yeah,
Puerto Rico's pretty good, but you got to travel all the way to Puerto Rico.
Yeah. There's some overseas offers and stuff too, places that have some good studios and good credits that they'll fly us. So we'll see with our co-production deal that we've got, where we might go over to their headquarters. But
you got El Salvador right now. I mean, that's awesome.
And El Salvador, that'd be a new one that you have to talk about.
That's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
That's big.
But we'll go on location. We'll have a good spot. But
Is it going to be a period piece, or is it going to be current?
No, it's pretty current. It's modern.
There you go.
It's kind of its own little world, but it's modern. Yeah.
If you do an El Salvadorian thing, do you have to do a whole sort of Spanish vibe to it? Maybe it's a Spanish mafia or cartel. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
I might be changing the plot.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot more Caucasian people down there than you'd think. But certainly when you start driving by street signs and highway signs, I mean, there's certain things you give, and as I explained to the president and his Senate when we wrote the legislation, I said, you have to show them a reason in, let's say, LA, why they're going to fly down to you, why they're going to incur the cost, because we've got union stuff that actors have to be flown first class, they have to be put in a 5-star hotel, they have to. So if you're not going to make it 40%, you know what I mean? Like start the conversation at 40 to come down, at least for now, and then have incentives that if the director of photography is Salvadorian, there's 2.5% more. If the writer or director, like the Canada does, the Canadian Musk, one of the two are El Salvador, you don't have to do it. You can come down there and get the 40 and walk away. But if you want to incentivize it like Puerto Rico does up to like 50, then you give them criteria to hire Salvadorans to build your film presence here. And that's what I would do. And so we wrote it all up, and it's about to come out soon. He's a smart guy, Bukele. He's looking, 10 years, 20 years down the road for El Salvador. He wants to get them out of that reputation they're in now. He's cleaned it up a lot down there. So, I'm waiting to see what the final thing is. I was down there a few times for weeks at a time, meeting with members of his Senate and finance committees and so on. And hopefully they come up and they do the right thing. If they don't, people come, to Atlanta for sure. I live in Atlanta. So, and I just directed a film here. So I there's quite a bit available in Atlanta too.
Yeah, it's really crazy what's going on there. What's it? Gentleman's name? Tyler.
Perry.
He's built a ton of studios and stuff down there. And
oh no, that's Chick-fil-A owns Trillis Studios. That place.
Chick-fil-A. Wow.
Yeah.
No, they were into films, but
Dan Cathy owns Chick-fil-A, and he owns Trillis Studios, and I went to go meet him on a tour there. You guys would. I mean, this place is now behind Warner Brothers, the second largest studio in the United States.
Wow.
It is just it just goes on, and he's building more. So, yeah. The only hard part about and in Puerto Rico too, but Puerto Rico's policy is that their amount of money available each year is finite. So when you reach that cap, then they roll you over to put you on the schedule for the next year. And the way I heard it is, there's not any money available till like the end of 2024 now. They're all booked up in Puerto Rico. Whereas Atlanta, I don't think there is a cap. So if you come here, you can incentivize it up to over 40% now here in Atlanta, which that's a big, when you're going into posts, and they're writing you a check like Canada used to, thanks for shopping Canada, here's $1.5 million, I mean, it's pretty helpful.
Yeah, there you go. That helps with money and funding and everything else. What else do we need to talk about, guys? To push the movie. Do we want to talk about iShook at all? I know you do that, Benny.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole thing is the world is changing, right? We know the world's changing. Like we said before in the green room about ChatGPT, right? So the AI technology is definitely changing, and you're going to have a lot more content being distributed and produced due to the AI tech. And that itself, I think, is very vital that the movie industry, and I think the movie industry is going to lag, because we had the same problem when we created our ebook app, iShook app, which is an ebook app. And we had the same problem with the book industry. where the book industry, it's very difficult for them to kind of get into the technology. And that was back in 2015 and 2014. So it took them a while to get into the ebook industry. And now what's happening now, there is a reverse in the book industry, where Barnes and Nobles and the new CEO of Barnes and Noble is actually building and renting out new Barnes and Noble sites. And he's actually put Barnes and Nobles from bankruptcy to a plus and surplus in their profit margins, which is unbelievable. But at the same time, you see HBO and the announcements of these bigger companies, they want to roll back streaming. So they're trying to go away from technology, it seems to be, which I think is a big mistake. I think you should charge premium on movies if you have access to your home, and make it less and make it cheaper and to go to the theaters. Therefore, you balance out the sheet and you say, okay, listen, we'll give you the streaming, but you'll pay for that luxury. But if you go to the movie theater, you'll pay for the basic amount. So I think what's happening is that movie industry is doing this on purpose, potentially, in order to choose the stories they want to tell. And I think that's a big mistake, because the movie industry was not about choosing the stories you want to tell. It's about everybody has the ability to tell his story. So, and that's the main thing that we want to, that we feel is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way I look at it. So iShook's goal is to actually have as many people as possible into the film industry, to create access to like real live ability to create their own movie, their own content. And that's what happened with Jared. We met, in a what was it called? Connectpreneur. So I heard his pitch. I got my pitch out there, and I said, I gotta connect with Jared, and we connected, and we're working on this for like a year already in order to get this done properly. And we also have to ride the wave. The main thing is the crypto industry. You got to ride the wave. You have in the crypto industry where you lose and you gain. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you gain, and you have cold spells of the crypto industry, which we call, the bear market, and then you have the non-bear markets. So we got to wait. Right now, Bitcoin is going up. That's huge. And Mr. Baldwin said about El Salvador. That's by the way, that's crypto land right there.
Yeah,
El Salvador is crypto land. I mean, he did something no other country was able to do with Bitcoin. That's huge.
Yeah,
Russia tried to do that with Bitcoin. It didn't work.
So what about Chat GPT? I mean, is this going to replace, all my friends who write books and do content writing for marketing? They're all freaking out. They think Chat GPT is going to take them out of jobs. Could this affect screenwriters and stuff?
It could definitely affect screenwriters. But what I do think, where Chat GPT will have a minus, because ChatGPT is an AI. It's predictive artificial intelligence. What it means predictive is let's say you give it a certain sentence, now it'll give you predictive writing. And then that writing itself, each and every sentence is predictive. It's not an artificial intelligence, which it's thinking on its own. We're not getting Terminator level style from ChatGPT. That's for sure not happening. We're not in
AI is never going to be able to tell stories.
Right.
People tell stories.
Right. So that's the thing. AI cannot be creative. The AI technology is not a creative technology where it can create its own storyline, but it definitely can do. I'll be honest with you. I put on chat. I have access to Chat GPT. I have access to a few AI technologies. And I told Chat GPT, please do a promo for iShook. Yeah, it did it did a promo for iShook, and it's exactly to what iShook was doing in the ebook world.
Wow.
So it did a promo for the iShook as the iShook app, and it does it. I'm sure if I put anyone else's name here in ChatGPT, it'll write an article. If I put in ChatGPT, tell me the best movies Daniel Baldwin made, it's going to give me a whole article about it on the spot. It's unbelievable. This program and this intelligence. And I can even say Chris Voss. Tell me how many podcasts Chris Voss has done already. Boom! It's going to give me a number.
You better be able to search that.
Yeah,
it's like in the thousands. So, yeah, I mean, it might write. I don't know. Maybe it would write better script. The thing I had an acting and modeling agency in Utah during Touched by an Angel, so we'd send a lot of extras to Touched by an Angel, and touched Utah was like one of those places that it was right after one of the big writers strikes, or I think or production strikes, and I got to sit and watch auditions, and you would literally have like hundreds of actors and actresses rolling through, and they'd read the lines, and you wouldn't feel anything about it, and you have spectacular actors and actresses like Daniel that come in, and they would just drop what he was talking about earlier with the other actor would just drop these, put the emotion behind it and the character behind it, and literally breathe life into those lines. And so Chat GPT can write text, but it can't act. You can't put that human experience into it in storytelling.
Well, at the same time, right now, Chat GPT in a more of a technical term, they said has about 100 million predictive predictive writing capability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but they're saying by next year, especially with Microsoft's $10 billion infusion into ChatGPT, we're talking about close to maybe 100 trillion. It's going to be to 100 trillion predictive writing.
Mm-hmm. Can you? I think it would be really interesting for the audience for you to explain predictive writing. What does that mean?
Okay, so let's say you give me a sentence, right? Any sentence. You say, I want to know, write for me a Quentin Tarantino type of script, about 1,000 pages. I want a 1 page. Please send me out. So he already has ChatGPT as an AI, already has that information of Quentin Tarantino. He has access to the way he writes. He will now write a script of a movie. Of course, you got to give it subject. You got to give it more juice into what I'm saying. I'm just trying to make it short. But it will now start writing because it has the Quentin Tarantino instruction, because I'm going to write in his style. And now it's going to start writing sentence after sentence after sentence. So as it writes its first sentence, it knows it already will predict what the second sentence should be. So if I say I want to write, I say, like, hey, I want to have these two actors or these two plays of these two individual subjects in the script argue with each other. And what should they argue about? They should argue about the type of Coca-Cola they drank. Is it Pepsi? Is it Coke? Whatever it is, right? And now it'll create a predictive argument based on, let's say, potential argument that already exists in Bing or in Google. I mean, it's literally endless because sentence after sentence can be predicted. It's like sometimes you have these, in the movies, right? They say you have these boyfriend and girlfriend, and they can finish each other's sentences. Mm-hmm. That's a predictive type of writing. So it knows within itself how to predictively say, okay, this has got to be the next sentence because this is the storyline we're going through.
The thing still, though, to me, it some of the greatest lines in movie production, in movies, have been improv. From everything from Marlon Brando's "I Could Have Been a Contender" and that whole scene. There's a million scenes you could do that were improv, and ad-libbed. Maybe some a little bit of tweaking, but the delivery of what an actor does or an actress does is extraordinary. Definitely. when it's done.
Well, yeah, that's very true, because I remember, I'm sure we all have. I have 10 of these stories, and I'm sure you men have 100 more. But there's that great story about Billy Bob Thornton when he did Sling Blade, and he kept sending the script out, to these studios and these different people, and they all went, "Yeah, Billy, it's great, but I mean, there's nothing really special." Until he walked in the room and he went, "Some people call it a Cosby Blade, I call it," and you looked at him, you're like, "Really? Are you going to play him like that?" "Yes, I'm going to play him." Oh, that's what. So yeah, when you breathe the life into particularly unusual characters, it makes all the difference. But still, amazing technology that you're talking about.
You see, you see him in real life, and when someone said that there's Billy Bob Thornton, the guy who played Sling Blade, I was like, no, it's not. That's not. It's it's recognizable, and yeah. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have enough gas in it. Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peterson, by the way, did put on ChatGPT like a whole thing, and he said, write another rule to my 12 rules of life. Mm-hmm. And he gave full instruction. He put out 5,000 word chapter on the way he would have wrote a 13th rule.
Wow.
That's the scary part of it, that you can actually get it to write depending on the instruction you give it, to write something crazy.
I heard Francis Ford Coppola is putting Godfather 4 open
Yeah.
chat.
Maybe it could do it. It could probably do it. I'm surprised.
It'll be Terminator 2 Skynet. I'll make him an offer he can't refuse with, I don't know.
For sure. I can't wait.
So what's the production date anticipation for this movie, or at least what's the shot we're working for, and how can people support it or get involved, et cetera, et cetera?
So I mean, the production date will come down to getting the money in place, and then we can go off and shoot once we put together the actors' schedules and everything with it. So it's usually a couple months, 2 to 3 months after the budget's in place and getting everybody's schedules in place. We've got a co-production deal that gets us a little over 1.1 million, so somewhere around that range toward the budget. So it gets us a good chunk there, and we're kind of on the way. So we've got a few people we're kind of chasing down these couple months going on. So we're hoping to, within the next few months, really get everything in place so we can get shooting. The goal is really as soon as possible.
I mean, we're gonna definitely push the NFT fundraising. We're gonna start getting more following, and it makes it so much easier with the comic book. It makes it so much easier with obviously with the podcasts that we're doing. It gives more like life to what we're doing, and I think most people really want to watch a movie, but they also really want to watch the process of a making of a movie. I mean, like, that's really cool. I mean, like, almost every show that you watch, they got these extras that show you how was this movie made, and then that itself is getting views and crazy stuff because people want to know about the space. It's a really cool space.
Yeah,
I believe that when you get that package ready with your deliverables, now they become so much more complicated. I believe there's shows within the movie. I believe you could live stream and sell tickets. I believe that there's all kinds of stuff to look at now. Multi-level. I know that there was discussion on this film that I just directed that we may have like 3 packages. There would be you join and you get access with a camera to kind of watch what's going on. You join and you get access and you come and you're an extra in the film, or you join and you have access and you get those 2, plus you're actually speaking in the movie, or whatever. You plateau it, and obviously the price goes up. And if you can sell, I mean, there's a market for that. Certainly for people to sit when they watch reality television, they watch the many things that they watch. If you could give it to them live to watch what goes on in a movie set, I think people buy it. I think you could have a network of that going on.
I think you just opened my mind right now. We can do an NFT where an individual, he'll pay to be an extra.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like
that's why I want you to. That's why I want you 2 to call me.
Definitely.
Or email. Let's start email me. Get my email information, because I have some other revenue streams to talk about. I think that we could really do through the NFT space. Yeah. And I have a guy you got to meet in the NFT space. You're going to want to know this guy. You 2 guys think a lot alike. I think you need to know each other. So I got some stuff to talk to you about.
Definitely. Awesome.
That's what we do on the show. We bring everyone together and put together deals. That's what we do. That's the Chris Voss Show podcast. So this is really cool, guys. I mean, I know how hard it is to get movies. I don't fully know how hard it is, but I know a lot of people have tried to raise money for movies, and it's hard. And I think of how many great projects or great stories, great movies that would have been, great if they could make it to the funding part. But sadly, so I guess, I mean, we need to have Iron Eagle 10. That was important. Sorry, Iron Eagle.
Listen, that was Gedrick, wasn't it, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, he's great actors, but
love Jason.
But could we maybe have just I'm always for. I love Hollywood movies where I can't tell what's going on, and there's no agenda being shipped to me. I'm not being forced. Like, give me a multi-plot movie. Give me Godfather. Give me Apocalypse Now. Give me, something that. Like, I still watch The Godfather. It came out, on the 50th anniversary. I went and watched it in this movie theater because I couldn't. And go ahead, Daniel.
I was going to say, I want to see things that have 2 rules. They're not afraid, They're not afraid. So when I started writing, I started projecting. We were 2 weeks into the pandemic when it started getting bad. My kids were already home from school. I was living at the time in upstate New York. And I started writing a script about the pandemic cops. So I took it 5, 6 strains, 12 years from now, where if you don't, now they've come out with a strain that if you're exposed to it, you're dead in 48 hours. There is no cure. They're trying big pharma to give you stuff that gives you enough time to, whatever. But now they send guys out that shoot you dead in the street if you don't get the shot. Wow. That's how bad they force you. You have no choice anymore. So they sell America on the fact that this shot will stop you from getting it. But if you get it, it's too late. There's no coming back. You're fucking dead. So now because you're a threat being dead to the regular populace that hasn't had a chance to get the shot yet, guys in black suits, ninja, roll up in your town, bash on your door like, Waco, Texas, and burn you to fucking death. Shoot you, cut your fucking throat, the whole. That's what it's coming to. That's what I want to see now. I want to see blood and hair everywhere. I want to take it to the upteenth level. And I don't want to be afraid that someone's going to knock on my door and go, you can't show that. Elon Musk's new network can't show that. No, I don't want to do that. I like stuff that's not afraid to tell an understory of what's really going on. I mean, where we're heading as a society. We're all going to live in Borneo and smoke weed because we're going to have to leave the U.S. Watch.
Yeah, it is. Hollywood has been renowned for being formulaic and repetitive. I mean, I even remember there were jokes. God, what was the Sunset? Was it Sunset Boulevard? There were jokes about how Hollywood was repeating back then. Yeah, they need to take more risks and do more. That's where I think most of the Oscars and Academy Awards come from. Is the real risks that movies are taking, and that's what you guys are doing here with the funding. You're trying to do something different and hopefully create maybe a new genre or I don't know if genre is the right word, but a new way to fund movies. And
I want to mention one thing. That's not just that. I mean, what Mr. Baldwin is saying is even more so. He's putting a business aspect into the film industry, where he's saying they're castrating all the business of the industry, right? Like he's thinking in an entrepreneurial perspective. It's not just making a movie. I got to make a movie that talks about reality, what's going on in the communities here. That's huge. Like they stop doing those kind of movies. You have all these movies, fantasy movies. How many fantasy movies can we watch already? Let's get the real movies that are out there that are going to change people's perspectives of reality already.
But let's not see what you're doing and what I'm interested in. It is in line with what I want to do. Why don't you get a menu and pick through the NFTs what films you want to get involved in?
That's what we want.
Not what Hollywood decides you can put your money in.
Yes.
You get a choice. Just like how you want your eggs. You want them with this, no, hold that, this. Because you like it, because you aspire to be or interested in that.
Agreed.
I would love that.
I'm totally hearing you.
I would love that, man. That would be awesome because, the great democratization. Can I say that? I was sick yesterday, guys. I apologize. My brain is still out. But the great democratization of movies, where Amazon is producing movies, Netflix, all these different production companies are now doing movies and getting in the Hollywood game. There's been some great stuff Amazon's brought to the table. Apple TV has won a lot of awards recently. So making it so that there's more great stories and great opportunities is I think just made for better film.
For sure.
Yeah. There you go. So, guys, it's wonderful to have you on the show and have these brilliant discussions. Let's go around the office. Anything more we want to plug out? Anything more we haven't discussed that we want to make sure we get in the can?
No, just guys, look for us. I mean, megamoviesnft.com. We're going to have all these ideas that we discussed here today. We're going to do a huge synergy with everyone here. It's going to be awesome. Definitely. And like Mr. Baldwin said, that's definitely what we want to do. That's like a la carte. Choose the movie that you like, choose the type of style you want to watch and be part of it. Be part of its production. That's in itself is huge. And I'm glad that we were able to have this discussion because like, as always, Chris, you're awesome. You're awesome. You get us to, fire up. I mean, I love the energy. The energy is huge, and you need this energy to really change the market. I mean, without good energy, there's no market change.
Well, it's good to have great guests on the show too.
Appreciate that.
I'm the dumb one. That's why we have guests, is so that people bring the show and lighten it up, especially after I was sick yesterday. So give us your .coms, guys, whatever you want to plug, whatever projects you have going on. Let's go around the circle and have everyone do their plugs.
I'm going to go with, here we go. I'm doing laundry. Check it out. But here's.
Is there .com for that?
Boba.com.
Look, your puppy. Oh, look at your puppy.
That's a nice, that beautiful.
There's Boba.com. There's Rufus.com.
Wow. That's cute. That is cute.
Rufus is 170 pounds, but I haven't brought to the star of the show yet.
Crap.
At 215 pounds, there's Jethro.com.
Holy crap.
What's going on, big boy?
Got some real dogs here.
How you doing there?
Those are my boys. I figured I'd throw them in because I got nothing. I got nothing for the end of the show.
There you go. Do we have to send them a check for that? Residual check?
No, that was free of charge. but there'll be an NFT that you can buy into the story of the dogs on our new movie site.
There you go.
Have your dog movie.
I mean,
Is that loaded deck.2?
That's loaded dog at loaded deck.
Loaded dog. I think you have some new cast members for that show.
Right.
Was that old Tom Hanks movie with the dog? Remember that?
Turner and Hooch.
Yeah,
Turner and Hooch. I cried. That hurt me. That show.
That was a Bordeaux Mastiff. He was related to these.
That thing was huge.
Not
Huskies, but there you go.
Not this big, but
no, that's
Jethro's the real deal. He's
200 pounds.
50. That's huge.
My husky goes into surgery tomorrow. She's big. She's 8, but she's just getting one of those things cut off her. Those things that grow on them.
Yeah, one of those little cysts.
Yeah, this thing's the size of it's a pretty good size. It hit him behind her leg, but she's only like 66 pounds. I'm like, holy crap. All right, so let's get the rest of the .coms plugged in here, and we'll round out. Do we got everything in here, Benny, Jared?
Yeah, we're good. Jared, loaded deck.
I mean, the loadeddeckmovie.com is like we've been talking about.
There you go.
Going over there and planning that just being kind of the first thing. We just want to make great movies that tell good stories people are into, not trying to push some sort of agenda on people and crap that you're seeing more and more in movies that are making them bad.
Tell great stories, man. That's just it. And great actors and actresses, man. It's the power, like I said, the power. I'd sit all day with casting directors watching actors and actresses audition, and you'd just be like falling asleep. You'd just be bored, and then that one actress can come in and just you'll be crying. And there's no music, there's no scene, there's no setup. It's just the power of them delivering that, and a lot of people don't really get that when it comes to movies and acting, is how hard it is. It's not easy. So there you go.
Yeah, but you see, I just want to add one last thing, and this is something really important for the audience to know, and this is an answer. If I went in the other room, my wife's an attorney, and she and I sit, and what these men are doing right now is answering from an investment standpoint too. And also, let's face it, a lot of guys look at a movie, a lot of women, and they go, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I could, why does Warner Brothers or Paramount or whoever it is, why do they get to make all those cool movies? And what they're doing is they're putting this incredible telephone book of opportunity in front of you, not just to fulfill some kind of fantasy to be involved in a film, but a legitimate way to be involved at a smaller level, a medium level, or a large level in the investment opportunity of film. And so, when you look at what's available, it's dictated by what Amazon wants to put on their site. Mm-hmm. Remember how many movies go to Amazon, go to Netflix, go in hopes to get the Holy Grail and get listed in their menu. How many don't get on? How many? And I know I've been on that side of this before. This is an opportunity to get your movie made with people that are like-minded in that genre and people that want to invest in film that aren't calling shots that you're not going to have a say in. That's revolutionarily different. And so, man, you guys, what a great concept, guys. Mm-hmm. A great concept.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought for years that I really should be the one cast in most of the Bond movies, but that's just my opinion, and no one else's. Thanks for everyone for coming on the show. I do have to say that when you come back to promote the movie, I expect everyone to have the Benny Magnificent beard that we made fun of last show.
It'll be long.
I want everyone to have one.
I can't even grow that.
All right, here's the last thought that I want you to take with you. If you removed right now, from a distance when you look, if you remove Benny's beard, is he a Jay Leno lookalike or no?
He might be without the crashing into things. Sadly, we should ask.
I don't got that chin. I don't got that chin.
You don't
Well,
have
we
the
can't
chin?
tell. We can't tell
could.
the beard.
But if you go my LinkedIn account, you can tell.
Well, there you go. Well, thanks everyone for being here. We certainly appreciate you guys coming today. There you go.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monitors, for tuning in. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, goodreads.com/Chris Voss, and all our places on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those crazy places the kids are playing. Thanks for being here. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time. That should have us out.